Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. We're here with our Wacky and Weird episode. We're going to cover all those weird, wacky things that people and animals, of course, are doing in this week. And we've got a lot of stuff, a lot of variety of stories. Some things you might not even expect are happening. So let's get into these stories. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter comprehensive news of Planet Earth podcast, where we look up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started. We've just got a little caffeine in our bodies, and we're learning how to read live on stream. Let's read today's headlines. Today on Wacky and Weird Wednesday, Fury as Rupert Lowe ordered pet Labrador to be shot with a rifle. And he finds a message in a bottle and trusts it to the sea 30 years earlier and searches on social media for the author of the letter. Couldn't believe it. Story of Aliana and Kia.
Greetings from the United States, where a corporate spy has got a restraining order against people who have not yet been identified. And a Czech family is arrested for being fake dentists.
Bears escape enclosure at UK wildlife park and eat a week's worth of honey. Speaking of eating, a Russian soldier is intercepted and reveals he's a cannibal. Burlock fucking ate him.
Also today, people who hear voices in their head also have a hidden talent for picking up on hidden speech. So listen to those voices in your head.
And in culture news, The Outer Worlds 2, the most expensive Xbox game yet.
And it's National Catfish Day. That's right. You just made a new friend on the internet, and she really likes you.
And she needs $2,000 by Friday, or all her children are being murdered.
That's right. And she's married to a Nigerian prince. It's National Catfish Day, June 25th. It's 6/25/25, June 25th, 2025 on Before Coffee.
Let me tell you about a catfish. Is that another Monty Python reference? I don't know that one. I don't know that skit.
Oh, no, I don't know, but there's a Monty Python catfish sketch. It might be a dogfish. He goes into the pet store. He goes to get a license for his pet fish, Eric. I'm here to get a license for my pet fish, Eric. I assure you, you do not need a license for your fish. I have a license for my pet dog, Eric, and my pet cat, Eric. You know, well, I'm not doing it. All the pets are named Eric.
Yeah. We get copyright strike by Monty Python. Hey, you're not allowed to do our skits on stream.
You asked if there was he goes in to get a fish license. It's hilarious, right?
All right, let's roll our segue wheel before we start doing an entire skit show. And I'm not good at being a comedian.
Yeah, let's do the.
It's gonna be a clown show, more like.
Why not? Throwback Day.
I don't think I'm very funny, and that's not just because I'm a girl.
You can do accents. You don't have to be funny if you can do accents.
Man. That's my thing. I'm a straight man. Got a limerick or haiku. It landed right in the middle. A limerick. You're gonna have to write me a limerick.
Ooh. A limerick, eh? Oh, okay. Well,
so
about my glasses. Right.
About shooting your dog and finding a message in a bottle. Hopefully that will help you out a little bit. You're writing.
Right.
Our first story is coming out of the UK. I wanted to start with the more crazy news here for me. That is Rupert Lowe shot his own, did not shoot his Labrador. He had somebody else do it for him. This is from Bill Curtis on the London Economic. Did Reform MP Rupert Lowe has caused fury as it was revealed that he ordered his gamekeeper to shoot his 17-year-old Labrador in the back of the head with a rifle. Summary execution for his Labrador. The independent MP has told parliamentary colleagues over recent weeks he took the decisive action. He didn't do anything to get his dog killed. Sorry, the wording of that. He got his dog killed. He ordered his dog's execution in Gloucestershire estate, who had been unwell and lost the use of his back legs. Walk. Like taking out your horse, you know? Said he could not stomach to shoot the lab, despite knowing his friends would. I would be proud to tell you it was not me who did it, but I can't claim the credit. He would be proud. Wait, he'd be proud to tell people that he. Sorry, I would be proud to tell you it was me who did it, but I can't claim the credit. Why would he be proud? I shot my own dog. I'm proud. No, I would just be neutral about it. It's like, that's a shame, you know? I would be proud of it. I shot my own dog. Although Lowe said taking him to the vet would be cruel, Alright, charities have hit it on his decision, calling for a practice to become illegal. I don't know about making it illegal, but claiming you have the moral high ground, having somebody else shoot your dog is not the hill I would die on. Elizabeth Davenport, campaign manager at Animal Aid, said, it highlights a serious failing of animal protection in the UK, serious failing of empathy too. There is currently no legislation that protects dogs from this kind of at-home euthanasia, or indeed many other concerning practices. Legalization that does exist, such as Animal Welfare Act 2006, only protects animals from unnecessary harm, but allows individuals who may have had prior knowledge or experience of animal health and welfare to decide what is not necessary. Okay, unnecessary harm, killing an animal, in a sense, is getting rid of the harm. The thing here, right, is you could hurt your animal and then shoot in, right? So not saying he caused it ability to use the back leg, right? But that's kind of the, I guess, slippery slope of animal welfare you're taking there. Talking to the Mail on Sunday, which was 22nd June, the great Yarmouth MP said, my keeper shot a dog the other day. He was a Labrador, 17. Dogs do go through ups and downs for a bit, but in the end, Cromwell's back legs went and our keeper Kevin very kindly did the job. Cromwell didn't go anywhere. He wasn't away from home and he wouldn't have known anything about it. So much kinder. Yeah, I hope dogs don't know, hey, that's a gun. He's about to shoot me in the head. And I hope dogs don't know that's about to happen. They are not driven to the vet. They don't smell the vet. It smells all over quickly. Ah, yeah. So the dog would have been stressed. You had to put it in the car and then drive it to the vet. So okay, just have your groundskeeper. You're rich enough to have a groundskeeper. Shoot it in the head for it. If you're rich enough to have a groundskeeper, you're probably rich enough to have a vet come to your house and do it for them. I'm just saying that they do services where they come to your house.
He spent all his money on groundskeepers.
Yeah, obviously. It would.
Obviously.
I would find it difficult, which is why my keeper did it. So you can call me a coward on that basis if you want. I've got friends who shoot their dogs. You know,
what's the name of the dog?
I have a lot of black friends. I'm not racist. I have a lot of animal abuser. I have a lot of friends who shoot their dogs. They're not animal abusers.
Yeah.
They just take them on a walk,
Gnome.
put a shooting rifle at the back of the head, and bang, done. They don't feel anything. I would have found it hard. He was 17 and had been with us that long. A parliamentary source told the newspaper for weeks it was going around at the Commons like wildfire that Rupert had shot his dog. Colleagues are appalled and upset, both thinking it was a way to behave. I just think, you know, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a dog, animal abuser. You can make your arguments. I just think it's gross, I guess. I just think you're gross if you do that. One MP concluded, an old money thing to do. That may have been acceptable 100 years ago, but it's not now. Yeah, time to get with the times. Just more proof that some people are just too old to be in the government. If they're still, shooting your dog, noble thing people do these days. No, it's not. Go back to the boomer farm or something and go shoot other people's dogs. I don't care. Just don't act like you have some sort of higher, you know. He's like, I'm proud. That's my problem. Got long enough to ride a limerick, or you're still riding?
Look at me, I have no human emotions. Anyway, yes, what's the dog's name?
Cromwell.
Did we get that? Cromwell, okay. Well, we're going to add that.
The famous, I think, people who killed all the Christians.
Oliver Cromwell?
Witch hunts, yeah.
The Lord Protector. His dog was named after the Lord Protector. Is that right? A pooch belonging to Rupert Lowe had a boo-boo and had to go. So he paid a young lad with a shotgun. He had to finish off Cromwell with one blow.
Poor Cromwell.
Poor Cromwell. We're thinking about you, buddy.
Yeah.
You're fetching
You're
stick
up in
on the other
dog
side of that
heaven
rainbow
now.
bridge. Yeah.
Our next story is a little less Travis. This one's more uplifting, but also kind of wacky. Somebody found a bottle entrusted to the sea 30 years ago, and they found the person the message was from. 30 years later, pretty impressive. This is on Il Fatto Quotidiano. One day I'll be able to say this. Quotidiano by it's just by them, FQ Magazine. Sometimes the sea becomes the guardian of stories, cradles them for decades in its waves, then when it least expected, returns intact, full of a magic that defies time and distance. This is what happened to Aliana Beresford, now 42, originally from Portnocky, Moray, Scotland, who received the answer to a message she had entrusted to the sea when she was only 12 years old. It all started in 1994. Aliana, the 12-year-old girl, took part in a school project that involved writing a message, putting it in a bottle and throwing it in. Wrote her note by hand, put it in an empty bottle of Moray cup, a local fizzy drink, and trusted it the currents of the North Sea. In the message, she asked whoever found it to respond, telling her something about themselves, where they found it. Then, 31 years later, silence. Nothing for that time. The bottle traveled for more than 3 decades, crossing hundreds of kilometers of sea, until it landed in a remote Norwegian island, Viciola, in the Vega archipelago. There, it was recently found by Pia Brotman, a young German volunteer of 27 years involved in a beach cleanup program. Instead of throwing it away, Pia noticed the message inside and decided to honor the request of that unknown girl from so many years ago. She wrote a postcard and sent it to the address indicated in the message, which corresponded to the house of Alina's parents. Today I found your message in a bottle on Viciola. Pia wrote, "My name is Pia, and I am from Germany. On the postcard, you can see our workboat, Nemo, the sailing boat Fawn, where we lived during this volunteer experience." For Aliana, who was recently returned to live with her parents, receiving the postcard, she's still living with her parents after 40. Crazy. Her parents are still alive? Amazing. Anyways. For Aliana, who recently returned to living with her parents, receiving the postcard was a shock. "I couldn't believe it. When I saw my name, I immediately understood. It was my message. One I wrote when I was 12, told BBC Scotland with emotion. She immediately contacted Pia on her social media, seeing if she could send her a photo of the original letter. The response left her even more amazed. It was still very legible, which was incredible after so much time. Today, the two women are in touch and hope to maintain a special bond, born from a assignment by a Scottish girl and the kindness of a young German volunteer on a remote island. There you go, your uplifting and wacky story about finding your note in a bottle 30 years later. Really cool.
All right.
Rick.
I started out with apologies to Sting and the Police for their song, but I stole a lyric from them, their song Message in a Bottle. 30 years since I sent my note, the North Sea took the message I wrote. Some kid on the beach found the bottle in reach, keeping my hopes for humanity afloat.
Message in a bottle, yeah.
See how I did like a floating pun with the message, and anyway, like I worked. Yeah, so
yeah,
clever.
You're
I'm
doing
proud
some
of
work.
myself.
You're wordsmithing over
I
here.
got at least an air horn for that.
Give you your claps.
Crickets or big squeak squealing or something.
All right, let's roll our segue for your stories now.
Oh, I had stories too. Wow. Wow. I thought I was going to get by without. All right, we're going to do 2 stories.
Welcome to June 25th on the National Day
I'm not stupid from
Today we're turning the calendar around.
Yeah, I've got to associate your
hear
story
that?
with something else. Maybe my own.
There, we muted
My own
my
story.
computer. Thank you very much. Okay. We're going to talk about a Rippling spy. Rippling is a company, I suppose. This is from TechCrunch.com, who got a restraining order against his imagination. I don't know. This is from Julie Bort from TechCrunch.com. If becoming a spy sounds like an exciting way to live,
You're
like
wrong.
Ali Carey. What's that?
Well, maybe it's exciting, but I think a lot of it's boring. Bye.
Ale Car character? I don't know what that means. Maybe you can tell me. What's a Ale Car? C-A-R-R-E with a little accent mark over it. Not sure what that means. Let this newest affidavit from confessed Rippling spy Keith O'Brien serve as a warning. On Friday, an Irish judge granted O'Brien a restraining order against several men who have not yet been identified. According to the court order seen by TechCrunch, O'Brien testified that multiple men...
They're going to jail, okay?
Right. It's like, if somebody finds them, hey, there's them guys in that car, chase them down and give them a restraining order. And then they go, I don't even know how you serve that. Anyway, O'Brien testified that multiple men, two in a gray Skoda Superb, that's a vehicle, on one occasion, and more often, a short-haired, heavy-set man in a black SUV, sometimes accompanied by a large dog, had repeatedly followed his car and watched his home. Well, go out there and talk to him. Jeez. That's what I would do. What you want? Why are you sitting in front of my house? And then if they take off, then you got something, right?
Yeah.
O'Brien's story has captured the imagination of the tech industry after his colorful confession in April, in which he alleged that he was a spy for Deel, D-E-E-L. He said he was paid £5,000 a month to steal Rippling's internal data on everything from products to consumers.
Okay.
Rippling caught him by setting up a
espionage.
honeypot Slack channel. Yeah, he's a spy. He's a freaking criminal. Why are we protecting him? Rippling caught him by setting up a honeypot Slack channel. On the day he was caught, O'Brien pretended to flush his phone down the corporate toilet and later smashed it, dropping pieces down the drain at his mother-in-law's house, according to his affidavit. Mother-in-law's drain is clogged. She doesn't know why. Now he's the star witness for Rippling and its lawsuit against Deel. Rippling is even picking up the tab for his legal and related expenses. Its lawyers testified. That's weird. Deel is also countersuing Rippling, claiming it was spied on too by a Rippling employee impersonating a customer. The two HR tech companies have been bitter rivals for years after Deel, once a Rippling customer, began offering competing products. In the latest part of the saga, O'Brien testified that he tried to lose the black SUV following his car by making sudden turns and taking roundabout ways to get home, only to see it reappear in his rearview mirror. He hired a security consulting company and feared that someone was placing tracking devices in his car. O'Brien claims all these incidents have created emotional and psychological damage for himself and his wife. We have been experiencing anxiety at home and in public. It has affected his sleep and concentration, O'Brien said in his latest affidavit. They are fuel for his safety of their 4 children. His lawyer speculated that this was intended as harassment related to his role as a star witness. However, O'Brien's lawyer also admitted that in court they had no evidence tying the men to Deel. Deel also denied knowing anything about the man in the black SUV. According to the Irish publication Business Post, when granting the injunction, the judge apparently said, as if they are in the 1970s Cops and Robbers TV show. Whatever happens in this dueling court cases, O'Brien has made himself the rope in a bitter tug of war between these two well-funded HR startups. And from what he says in his testimony, it sounds painful. So there's a little metaphor at the end. So there's your story on the crazy world of corporate espionage. Are we tracking? Are you there? Hello. Did you miss that whole story? I don't see you or hear you. Don't hear you at all. If you're talking, I don't hear you.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute myself. I have a perfect association for this because I have been playing this game called Cyberpunk 2077. I've played it many times before. You know, I'm starting a new play. And it's about a dystopian world where corporations have taken over all countries. So the governments, you just have corporations running countries. And there's a lot of corporate espionage in that game. Lots of people, getting hacked and losing their lives because corporations
fascism.
Become governments.
Yeah, it's fascism. That's a definition of fascism. Corporations being the government. That's our president of the United States. I don't know what the future. There's nothing ever passed in this country that benefit corporations. You can count on that. All right, our next story. We're going to talk about, hey, you want to get your teeth pulled? I know a place you can get it pulled real cheap. Oh, wait, they just got locked up. Never mind.
Like all in
This
jail
is from
now.
the BBC.com. Everybody's got this story in about 2 or 3 minutes. I couldn't find a longer one, but here we go. Czech fake dentist gave root canals after reading online instructions, state police. Oh, yeah, you can get an online dentist. A 22-year-old fake dentist and 2 assistants have been charged by Czech police after treating dozens of patients using instructions found on the internet. Police said the 3 family members opened a surgery without a license in their home in Havlíčkův Brod 2 years ago and threatened patients without any necessary professional knowledge. They added that the 22-year-old man extracted teeth, performed complex root canals, and applied anesthesia, drawing on information he had obtained online. All pleaded guilty to a number of charges, police said, and faced up to 8 years in prison. Hey, prisoners need dental work too.
I don't think they're giving
Police
their
did not
tools.
speak.
I don't think they're allowed their tools.
Hey, it's a little money saving. They might even get him a dentist a degree while he's locked up. Be an honest man. Police did not say whether any of the patients had complained about the treatment. A 50-year-old woman worked as a nurse while a 44-year-old man produced prosthetic devices for patients. The illegal clinic treated dozens of patients and made 4 million Czech koruna, which is the equivalent of $185,500, police said. The woman, who worked in the health sector, provided anesthetics, but also other dental material to which she had access, such as fillings, cleaning powder, glue, impression material, and much more, police said in a statement. The 22-year-old man poses a dentist, although he lacked the necessary professional knowledge. We already said that. Police guy. Police spokesman Michaela Laproba declined to comment on whether the force was acting on complaints from patients. All 3 were arrested earlier this month before being charged this week while operating an illegal business, money laundering, attempted assault, drug dealing, and theft. All that pleaded guilty, police said.
Yeah, you caught us.
President of the Czech.
Congratulations.
You caught him red-handed. Almost literally red-handed if they had blood in their hands, right? The president of the Czech Dental Chamber, Roman Smukler, said that he had an average of 10 fake dentist cases reported a year in the country. I have 2 more submissions today. So today there are 3 cases in the Czech Republic. Ah, man.
I can't believe there's
They're
so many
running rampant.
illegal dentists in the world. Yeah.
The Czech parliament last year passed a bill facilitating the employment of dentists from countries outside the EU. So they obviously have a dentist shortage in the Czech Republic, and this guy's fulfilling a need. All the people with toothaches who no longer have toothaches are probably just happy they got that tooth out, or whatever. We'll see how many infections develop. People's jaws got to be removed from a massive staph infection or something, right?
I mean, I want
right?
to think, I don't know if it's true, but I want to think that if you are pulling out a tooth, that's not really dentistry. Right? Like you can't, it's definitely the root canal that got them. Yeah, it was the root canal that really got them because you're drilling straight into somebody's jaw. And I was thinking they must not have a dentist in their town. Yeah.
Probably.
That's why they've been opened. They're like, wow, I really need a dentist. You know what? I can give it. Maybe one of his kids needed the root canal, so he just did it. And like, you know what? I could probably do this for the whole village. I'm going to do that now. Become a dentist. Hey.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, who knows? Maybe they were using lots of drugs for the pain, and this guy relieved their pain, and now they're not on drugs anymore. You never know. He was performing a public service. He just didn't get the proper licensing.
I mean,
He
all
probably has a talent
doctors,
for it.
all doctors started out as a public service until we started, making them go to school for it. Yeah, I don't know what that herb does.
Well, if they need to put him through dental college, is what they do. While he's in prison, put him through dental college, and then he can be a dentist. God damn it, you got a shortage, right?
Reformed criminal, perfect. And I hear being a dentist assistant is just as easier than becoming a dentist.
Yeah, like that movie Catch Me If You Can, where they with
playing different people.
Leonardo DiCaprio, he goes to work for the FBI because they caught him, and he's like, "Yeah, I know all the scams," and they said, "Oh, you can work for us." And of course, he didn't. You're really good, but that's another story.
You can work for us. Well, thanks for the association there. Next segue.
And the wheels.
I've actually never seen that movie. I've seen trailers for Catch Me If You Can, but I've never.
Oh, it's really good,
it's a great
especially
movie,
when he's
so maybe I'll watch it this week.
When he's an airline pilot, it's probably my favorite. Anyway.
Okay, our
he's
next
faking being a pilot.
Our next segue
planes.
is tell a joke. So you've been funny already today.
Have I? I might have used it all up.
Well, I guess you're just doing Monty Python. Hey, that's
right.
Stealing jokes is allowed. You're not a professional. Our first story is me trying to figure out my green screen. I keep on having
That's a story? Oh, okay.
Bothers me that my green
screen is not
perfectly covering my background. There you go. Not perfect. Bears have escaped an enclosure in the UK, and they did a little stint looking for all of the honey in the world, and they ate it all, and it was delicious. This is from Ellie on The Independent.
Oh.
2 young bears at a wildlife park made a beeline, very funny, for a week's supply of honey after staging an escape from their enclosure. Mish and Lucy, both 4-year-old siblings, seized their moment of freedom at the Wildwood Trust site in Ottery St. Mary in Devon on the 23rd of June, so this Monday, or last Monday. The pair reportedly headed straight for their food store during their hour-long adventure. They knew exactly where it was. They were planning this heist for months. We're gonna get out of here. We're gonna go right over there. These people are not feeding me enough honey. Despite their brief escapade, Wildwood Devon confirmed that the bears posed no danger to the public at any point. Spokesperson for Wildwood Trust shared, 2 young bears escaped from their enclosure at the Wildwood Devon this afternoon, headed straight for their food store. Mish and Lucy, both 4 years, posed no threat to the public at any point, enjoyed a selection of snacks, including a week's worth of honey, before being safely returned to their enclosure by the expert keeper team in an hour. Yeah, it was probably really easy because they're just laid down on the floor, hand on their stomach, and just honey passed out, like too much honey. All right, get back in your cage. Not even a cage, really. It's more like they're in like a wide area,
enclosure.
There's still technically a fence that you can. As a precaution, all visitors on site were promptly escorted to a secure building. The bears were continuously monitored both on the ground and via CCTV until they calmly returned to their enclosure and fell asleep. Yeah, see, they didn't even have to escort them, right? They were just like, all right, that's enough, honey. I'm going to bed. Good night. The charity said police attended the scene in line with standard protocol. The investigation is underway to find out how they escaped. The exhibit is secure, and we are grateful to our staff and visitors for their cooperation, which helped us resolve the situation swiftly and safely, the spokesperson added. Mish and Lucy were discovered abandoned by their mother in a snowdrift in Albania Mountains, according to the Wildwood Trust. Aw, look! I wish you could see this bear cub. It's just like little bear cub in the. Well, you know what a bear cub looks like. They're almost puppy looking.
Yeah.
Several attempts have been made to reintroduce the cubs into the wild, but it became clear to conservationists that they could not survive on their own. They just did not get mommy's training. That's why they're just gorging themselves on honey in a Wildwood area. Following a fundraising campaign in 2020, the siblings were transported to Wildwood's Kent Park for 6 months before they made their forever home at Devon. Mish is known for being a playful bear who enjoys splashing around in the pool and swinging in hammocks, while Lucy is said to love nothing more than spending time with her brother and climbing trees. The pair eat kilos of berries, fruits, vegetables, seeds, fish, and meat every day, but I guess they weren't getting enough honey. Gonna have to add more honey to the milk clan. Oh wow, that's a cute little story, a wacky story, animal story. Give me a joke.
And a friend of the bears was asked for a quote, and he said, "Oh, I don't know. I just eat thistles." Anyway, there's your the Winnie the Pooh joke, by the way, in case.
But he's Eeyore.
Winnie the Pooh, known for eating honey, way too much honey. Anyway.
Our next story.
The low-hanging fruit is mine.
Indeed.
Anyway.
The next story is about eating, but not honey. Eating your fellow soldier. This is according to a call intercepted by the Ukraine HUR. A Russian serviceman, the call sign Brelok, is said to have killed a fellow soldier and lived off his remains for 2 weeks. By Kiev Post.
Jesus.
Intercepted call released by the military's Intelligence Directorate captured Russian soldiers discussing an alleged case of cannibalism within their own ranks. So this might be a little case of telephone here. Maybe it did happen, maybe it didn't happen, but they're definitely talking about it. According to the call, a serviceman with the call sign Brelok said to have killed his fellow soldier Foma and lived off his former comrade's remains for 2 weeks. No one ran anywhere. Like I said, Brelok fucking took him out and then ate him for 2 weeks. The second soldier, clearly stunned, responds, "No fucking way, holy shit, fuck my bald skull. Was Brelok really found at, 200? 200 is Soviet-era military slang used in today's Russian army to refer a soldier killed in action. First speaker confirmed, yeah, they say he was a 200. He ate his comrade, so yeah, something to think about. I was shocked myself. If true, the incident underscores the growing lapse of morale, discipline, and basic survival conditions inside Russian units on the front lines. They're starting to, you know what, Jerry? I don't really like you so much. I'm gonna eat you. You better watch your back. Ukraine intelligence agencies repeatedly intercepted calls that highlight extreme psychological stress. Yeah, I think you have to have a lot of stress if you decide, you know what, I'm hungry, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna kill my comrade in arms. In fighting, disregard for human life among Russian troops. Previous recordings released by the HUR and its I Want to Live project have documented summary executions, looting, and seeking to surrender. Earlier last year, Kiev Post interviewed Maria, who works as one of the Ukrainian intelligence professionals, eavesdroppers, and spoke about shocking things she hears. Russia regularly dismisses the content of interview calls published by Ukraine, saying they are fake. Claim Kiev Post put to Maria. She said, "They're all real, even though they might seem insane. Sometimes I can't believe the words I'm hearing myself. Have what we have." Kiev Post regularly posts some of the most revealing and shocking conversations. Like, they drive tanks with vodka, or they stole a comrade's stuff and killed him. They need to take some plans for taking Odessa, or screaming that we're dying out here. They're commanders and having a breakdown. They even ate Theraflu Mom, intercepted by a Russian soldier about starving on the front line. Who's Theraflu? And not another soldier. Maybe just the
Theraflu
dog.
What you take when you have the flu. It's like not medicine that doesn't even work.
They're starting to eat medicine because they're so hungry. Okay, and they shot one of their battalion commanders' officers. A lot of who knows, and we're being sent on a meat assault suicide mission. That'll be fun, right? Deserters. Just this is what happens. I don't know if anyone where, but Russia has a conscript army, so they just say, "Hey, you're going in the army, and you have no choice." Ukraine technically also had conscriptions and draft, but they are the one who got attacked. So. But Russia just has been throwing farmers and workers and anybody they can at the front lines. That is definitely not great for morale. Definitely not great for supply lines, where I'm starving, so I'm gonna eat Jerry. Sadly.
Jerry.
Got a joke about eating, I just made up a name. It's probably not even a good Russian person name. Vlad, I ate Vlad.
Vlad. Yeah, I understand he had a salad afterwards and he had Russian dressing on it. That's the best joke I can come up with. Let's see.
And then after he ate Jerry, he went to his locker, took out his ceremonial dressing and ate that for dessert.
Yeah, I believe he's part of the new Dahmer battalion.
Oh God!
Or the new Hannibal Lecter company that they're forming. Anyway, so. And I also had some fava beans in a leg Chianti, I understand. Anyway.
Weird slurping
Here's your jokes for cannibalism. Here's your cannibalism jokes for today. 4 of them.
Rest in peace to that guy. I mean, he may have been a Russian soldier.
What a way to go,
He was probably just a conscript who was forced to go out there and then he got eaten by his comrade. Careful.
Yeah, they're just, I don't know. What are they doing to this guy? Are they stringing him up? What a useless person. Jesus. Good Lord.
Yeah, I mean, I think when they said that he was 200, they were saying that he was killed in action. So he's already dead. The cannibal. So, but they're mostly just like there's a rumor going around somebody was a cannibal, and they heard it on the grapevine. People are starving out there so much that some people are resorting to cannibalism.
His first name wasn't Hannibal by any chance? Hannibal?
I don't know. His call sign was Brelock. I don't know what Brelock means. Probably does not mean cannibal in Russian.
The only reason Hannibal the Cannibal, of course, the only reason that name's Hannibal in the book is just to rhyme with cannibal. You know that, right?
Hannibal the Cannibal.
Right, spin the wheel. Speaking of crazy people, we're going to talk about here.
Means keychain, right? Key ring, or key fob. So that's.
All right. Works
we're going to do a haiku, or I'm going to do a haiku for you, please.
So you're doing a haiku. Oops. 1 second. All right. People who hear voices in their head can also pick up on hidden speech, according to Get Pocket's Kendra Pierre Louise. Longer story here, so let's try to rip through it. Why some people hear voices where none is present has long been a psychological puzzle. Serial killer David Berkowitz, also known as the Son of Sam, famously claimed that he heard voices in the form of a dog telling him to commit murder, but hearing voices isn't necessarily a sign of psychosis. In fact, according to the authors of a recent study published in the journal Brain, enhanced attention-related neural pathways might cause these illusory sounds. People hear them because their brains may be especially primed to pick up speech. It's true that lots of people who hear voices have serious mental health issues. Ben Alderson Day, a psychological researcher at Durham University and lead author of the study of popular science, told popular science, but roughly 5 to 15% of the general population will have some experience of hearing unusual voices at some point in their lives. We think potentially up to 1% might have a pretty frequent experience and just don't really tell anyone and get on with their everyday lives.
I do. I'll admit it. I'm not scared to admit it. Sometimes I'll be like dreaming and then my brain will just like, somebody just yelled, And I'll be like, who yelled? And that wasn't real. My brain just created a neighbor's sensation.
It was a neighbor's dog, Sam, telling you stuff, don't you know? It's true that lots of people who hear voices have serious mental health issues. I already did that, didn't I? It's the 1% that catches psychologists' attention because this group isn't clinically psychotic and thus typically not as psychotropic. is typically not on psychotropic medication, researchers can study their tendency to hear voices without the confounding factors of mental illness. They think these benign voices hearers could bring some explanation as why some humans hear voices and perhaps more broad understanding of the brain. There is an increasingly popular theory on how our brain makes sense of the world. Rather than just receiving sensory information passively, our brain is actively making predictions about the world and looking for meaningful patterns, says Alderson Day. The theory called predictive processing or predictive coding posits that our experience of the outside world is more about what we expect we happen rather than what is actually happening. More about what we expect rather than what is actually happening. It may explain, for example, why we tend to see shapes in clouds and in Rorschach blots. We experience what we expect to experience, and we only change those predictions or expectations once we have enough evidence forcing our hand. Again, we have more than 5 senses, and we have a sense that our brain, like our, call it third eye. I think this is a lot of this third eye stuff, where we can, for instance, somebody's a real massively good, prolific songwriter, right? It ain't because they're necessarily that talented, is that they're open to everything and it just flows through them and they write it down. And they can't explain it themselves. It's like, I didn't come up with this idea. Bob Dylan, all these prolific songwriters will say, I don't know who wrote those songs. I have no idea. I didn't do it. Anyway. And there's an idea, said Alderson Day, that people who hear voices might have brains that are a bit more primed to look for meaningful patterns in the environment around it, particularly in unusual or ambiguous situations. To see if priming might play a role in hearing voices, Alderson Day. That should be a holiday, Alderson Day. Remember, I met you on Alderson Day, didn't I? Back in 46. Anyway, sorry. And his colleagues, Alderson Day and his colleagues, including researchers from University of College London and the University of Porto in Portugal, took 2 groups of people, those who claimed to hear voices but were otherwise mentally healthy, and those who were also healthy but didn't hear voices, and placed them into a functional magnetic resonance, or MRI, machines. The researchers, who used something called the Lune-Slade hallucination scale, which measures both visual and auditory hallucinations to gauge how often the subjects were hearing voices. Because a lot of us have some experience in hearing voices, if you've ever heard a voice, your mom perhaps, calling your name in an empty house, you've experienced some level of auditory hallucination. Only people who had recently and relatively frequently heard voices were included in the group. The researchers exposed the 2 groups to 2 20-minute runs of sine wave speech. Sine wave is just
it's a radio signal.
Frequency that goes up.
Sound frequency.
Yeah, it's a radio signal. A square wave is clipped at the top.
Quiet.
A sine wave is a natural. Yeah. Right. It's a noise.
Yeah.
SWA
Some sort of
makes a
white
sense and
noise at a
distorts
specific
by mimicking the
repeated pattern, right? It's the same repeated pattern, white noise.
Yeah, sine wave is just a wave that has ups and downs, peaks and valleys. SWS takes a sense and distorts it by mimicking the frequency and amplitude of the actual sequence. SWS sounds a lot like R2D2, says Alderson Day. Happy Alderson Day, everybody. If those frequency and amplitude tracks are taken from the same original sentence, he explains, then it's potentially intelligible. Once you have training and once you expect to hear speech. Wow, that's interesting. Each run contained 45 intelligible SWS trials and 45 unintelligible SWS trials. Unintelligible SWS just sounds like the intelligible stuff, but if you take the frequencies and tracks from 2 different sentences and overlap them on top of each other so that the brain can actually resolve them. There were also 18 target sounds. Participants who had been told that the study was about how the brain processes unusual sounds were told to listen closely for the target sound and push a button each time the target sound was heard. After the first run, while participants were still in the scanner, they were asked if they noticed any words or sentences in the sounds that they heard. If they answered yes, they were asked if they could note when they first heard the sound if they understood it and did they repeat any words it contained. They found that 3/4 of the voice hearers could detect that there was speech compared to just under half of the control participants. One participant reported hearing speech from the first 3 or 4 runs. Intriguingly, both groups used a typical network of areas that we associated with speech and language, but the voice hearers also used additional areas of the brain. The voice hearers use 2 areas, the anterior cingulate and the superior frontal gyrus, often associated with developing our attention and monitoring for different kinds of important signals, said Alderson Day. They're not necessarily specific to language, but they're about how we allocate our attention to the world around us. They lit up specifically to the sine wave speech where there was hidden speech. Wow. The second run was more or less exactly like the first, except that both groups were trained to recognize the speech pattern. After this training, the difference between 2 groups in terms of ability to recognize voices in the SWS disappeared. Once the non-hearers were told there was speech, they could hear it, but they had to be primed. The study sample was pretty small, less than 20 people per group.
Looking for.
Yep. So Anderson Day cautions against making broad conclusions. No, yeah, don't make any conclusions about any broads. Yeah. Still, he says that those preliminary results fall in line with the predictive processing theory. A separate study earlier this year in the journal of Science by researchers at Yale University, there's a place I've heard of, add additional context to Anderson Day's study. The study exposed hearers and non-hearers and schizophrenics to stimulus known to trigger auditory hallucinations. The stimulus presents a person with sometimes hard to hear tone and a light at the same time. Over time, upon each appearance of light, people have a tendency to say they hear a tone even though there isn't one. This tendency to hear a tone when no one's presence was especially likely to happen.
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus?
Yeah, sorry.
This tendency to hear a tone when none is present was probably just audio memory, I would think, maybe, was especially likely to happen to those who hear voices, whether or not they had psychosis, again suggesting that voice hearers are primed to hear sounds in their environment. The biggest difference between those who heard voices and those who heard voices and those who heard voices and had psychosis was their ability to accept the tone wasn't real. 9 psychotic voices hearers accepted that it was happening in their heads, which again leads credence to predictive processing theory. Our expectations really might matter. Then this kind of research, particularly with non-clinical voice hearers, is a really key for showing how what we believe around the world, what we expect to hear, can really shape our sensory experience, says Mr. Alderson Day. This naturally raises the question of how do people hear voices but aren't psychotic, make sense of their experience. They use a range of techniques. Quite often, the first time they might not realize.
Question. Hearing voices, but not a psycho.
Yeah. Well, they realize that I'm hearing voices, but I'm not insane. Quite often, the first time they might not realize that other people can hear the voice or the voices, but over time, what they might do is develop an explanation for themselves that makes sense of it, says Alderson Day, which may be that they think it's just something that their brain is producing, like a kind of unconscious brain radio happening. I know at least 1 or 2 people would call it that. Others think of it in terms of a voice of a passing loved one or in terms of a spiritual framework. Voice hearers are well represented among people who call themselves mediums or psychics. Over time, the predictive processing theory holds up. This might change the way we treat some mental illness. Right now, the common practice is to treat frequent psychotic episodes with medications. Oh yeah, give me some drugs. But Alderson Day,
Big Pharma wants you to
still
do
not Alderson. The Big Pharma thinks that a better understanding of why people hear these voices could help mental health professionals treat them in a more targeted way. Mental health professionals don't want to be bothered with this shit. They just write the prescriptions, get out of my office, come back in a month, and get more drugs. Perhaps one of those individuals manage and reframe their experiences into ones that are less distressing. Regardless, Alderson Day, wants those who think they hear voices to always seek help from a medical and mental professional. There's so much we don't know about the brain, but for now, the research reminds us that our experience in the world is just that. our unique experience, driven by the way our neurons fire, and it begs the question: what other ways could it bias us? It begs that question. Did you know that? Yeah. So let's have voices in our head.
Somebody
Haiku.
also, Omlin wants a link to the article, so if you could send that to me, I can post that for Omlin.
Okie
Ad
dokie.
break. Ad break, don't come. Okay, I stopped ad break just in time. Alright, our haiku is: in whispers soft I hear a melody that soothes my soul. Not madness, but a song of life.
Hold on, I gotta do several things at once here. Alright.
Oh no, the multitasking Omlin. You've made a multitask.
My stupid phone is ringing. Nuisance.
Everything's happening all at once. I love that.
It's always the same stupid shit too. It's never anything useful.
Yeah, it's your
Anybody
ears.
want to talk though.
That's what you need to get a. You need to get a. What's it called? I literally forgot the word. The scam guy. That corporate espionage guy. But against your scammer.
Right. Oh, since I closed the article, I gotta find it again.
Well, he'll send me the link. Let's go to my story. You can figure that out.
What's my spin?
Let me roll the segue wheel.
Hopefully not too hard.
All you gotta do is figure out a bad pun for me. That should be easy. No, it's not a big deal, Omlin. Otherwise, you're just doing nothing, you know? While I'm reading my article.
Sure. I have exactly 3 brain cells and they can all work independently.
In our culture news, we're going to talk about The Outer Worlds 2, which is set to be the most expensive Xbox game yet. As in buying it, I think. You're gonna have to. This is kind of what we are warning any gamers out there, anybody who's following gaming. Nintendo Switch raised prices on games, and now everyone else is gonna follow suit. This is the new reality. Welcome to inflation. Another 10 euros. I wish it would be something like 5 euros, right? Instead of like, oh, the price of games has gone from 40 to 50. I wish it was 40 to 45. But it's always, they add another 10. That's like, there's no way the inflation rate is that high that you add 10 euros onto a price every, 5 years. That's crazy. But so, this is from Melissa Mercant. Xbox is putting a lot behind its new space action RPG sequel, which will be its first $80, 70 euro video game from Microsoft. To earn its price tag, well, they asked the developer. Let's see what they said. The Outer Worlds 2 from RPG makers Obsidian. To be fair, Outer Worlds 1, while a good game, I don't think was, highly thought for. But it's interesting that they're even making a. I guess they made a lot of money, so. It will be the first party Xbox game to cost $80 or 70 euros. Given that Nintendo Switch 2 games are already priced at least that high, and Sony's own PlayStation 5 games have been pushing that towards that for a while, might not expect this development to ignite a pricing debate amongst gamers. Well, I think it's going to continue being a debate, and then people are just going to start waiting for sales before they buy stuff. The increased cost of video games is a hotly contested topic, given the sustainability ballooning budgets that most blockbuster games are working with these days. But you can't say that The Outer Worlds 2 is much larger, more in-depth game than the 2019 comedy sci-fi original. If you're going to talk about the value, it can certainly be argued that it's a higher price point is justified. Saying The Outer Worlds, which was jam-packed with a kind of wry, sardonic humor you'd expect from an Obsidian RPG. This is the studio behind Fallout New Vegas, after all. It's super saturated space world, populated by a colorful flora, bumbling corporations and strident zealots. A joy to live for 20 hours or so, though its combat left much desired. According to game director Brandon Hacker, Obsidian knew the Outer Worlds gunplay needed improvement even before the game launched. and especially if they develop a sequel. We did a full breakdown of Destiny because we love how that felt. It says during an interview held after an Outer Worlds 2 demo in Los Angeles. We also talked to Halo folks. They gave us a huge list of stuff and said, you guys should target this, you should add this to your weapon configurations. So they're really going into the gunplay, it sounds like. I need to just all the ads for like. Obsidian's research has paid off. Not only are there more weapons to play with Outer Worlds 2, they feel good to fire after a variety of combat options depending upon the encounter. That's if you want to fight, as the solid stealth approach will let you creep through rooms of foes without a trace. The original game, you'd simply avoid large-scale combat or preemptively die before getting into a firefight because the gunplay just wasn't. I'm not sure about that, but I can see where it's coming from, especially if you play other, first-person shooters. Definitely left some to be desired. That has changed in the sequel, as they relished each encounter, giggling maniacally, and hucked grenades and jumped from above to take out a target. We didn't want small changes. Every weapon feels very different. Every weapon has a cool, unique purpose, Adler says. You can even take those weapons and add mods onto them to do all kinds of creep. And with the updated game engine of Unreal Engine 5 and the capabilities of current-gen hardware, the Outer Worlds released on Xbox One, expect the Outer Worlds 2 to feel bigger than before. Entering buildings no longer requires a loading screen that can take players out of the fantasy, for instance. Little things like that give a big, immense feel, Adler says. Exploration is probably the thing that is most important to me. I want the players to feel as if they're going through a big world. They should look at every nook and cranny and open every door, and everything, because it's always going to be cool and a fun thing to find. Outdoors 2 is offering a large, improved combat and even more customized that deepen cool features, such as more perks and flaws for your character, which drastically change how you play. Though Adler declines to comment on the $80 price tag, because of course he is. At least according to The Guardian, right? This is not my opinion, Guardian's opinion. No, the thing for me is, as more of a PC gamer than a console gamer, I've always just sales to buy games. I am very patient, right? I don't need to play a game as soon as it comes out. It's going to be there, right? It's not going to be deleted off the internet because I didn't play it within the first year it was out. And I know a lot of streamers, especially smaller streamers, aren't given a key for free, are probably lamenting this price increase. That just means you have to spend way more money to play the most recent games. So I guess my argument for you there is just don't. The thing about streaming is that you're free PR for these games, right? That's why they let us stream. If we weren't free commercials, they would, copyright strike us off the internet, and then we wouldn't have a career after streaming games. So I would, and this happens too when it comes to like reactors as well, right? You have shows that you're not going to react to it in the theater, right? You're not going to take your camera in and go, "Oh my God, guys, did you see that?" You're not going to live stream from the theater. Yeah. So you always see people reacting on TVs or movies when they get released on Netflix or any other streaming site, right? So you can do the same thing here. Right. Instead of everyone piling on to the newest game as soon as it comes out and spending €80, you can at least soft boycott it by waiting for it to go on sale. And then all the streamers who don't want to aren't getting free keys from the developer. Like then, I know it's gonna take I'm not gonna start this movement, but I wish we would do it. I do it all the time.
Wait until it's at GameStop. Wait till it's at GameStop on a discount rack. You ain't gonna miss no fun. You can have funs with lots of games that aren't the latest, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's my
I got a pun.
Call to action, I guess.
I got a pun. I got a pun right to start. I think it's time to switch the way we play video games. Anyway, there you go.
The corporate overlords win again. There you go.
Yeah, they always get their say. Oh, just cogs. I sent you the link, and I also sent you a movie clip. So don't send her the movie clip. Send her just the link. I mean, you can send her the movie clip.
I mean, if she wants to see a movie clip, she can. Okay.
I'll just post it. I mean, all of our movie clips are available to the general public. We don't secretly find them somewhere. They're all on YouTube.
Yeah,
All right,
originally for the
I'm gonna
show, I
close
did want
Facebook.
to get all the article links that I could, show them, like share them before the show as a works cited kind of thing. I was like, oh, it's too much. This is a daily. If it was a weekly show, I'd do it, but this is a daily show. Whatever. I'm not gonna scrounge up all the links. Okay, now I have to tell you a bad pun for this day in history.
Bad pun about this day in history, which is going way back to 1243. On this day in 1243, let's make sure I got the right day here. June 25th. Yes, okay. June 25th. Sinobaldo Cardinal Fieschi was elected Pope, taking the name of Innocent IV. As if, right? As if he's innocent. As if. In 1447, Casimir IV, the Grand Duke of Lithuania, was crowned King of Poland. Casimir. I wonder if he's the guy that invented the sweater. 1530, probably not. He was the fourth Casimir. In 1530, the Augsburg Confession, 20 articles that constitute the basic confession of the Lutheran churches, was presented at the Diet of Augsburg to the Emperor Charles IV. That's right, 24 articles that prove our invisible man is going to do some stuff to you. It's proof. By golly. We say so, so it's facts. I love religion. Yeah. I was just sorry, man. Just, oh, please, some mysterious man telling us everything. But we don't even have to check it out for ourselves. Anyway, 1870, Robert Erskine Childers, writer, Sinn Féin deputy, and member of the IRA, the Irish Republican Army, and Irish nationalist agitator, was born in London on this day, in 1870. So happy birthday to him. He'd be 100 and what is that? 55. In 1876, George Armstrong Custer made his last stand at the 7th Cavalry at the Battle of Little Bighorn. Well, he wasn't the only one that made his last stand. He got his whole entire battalion wiped out. So yeah, George Custer paid the price. Fuck around and find out, Georgie. That's what he did. In 1910, the Firebird of Igor Stravinsky and Mikhail Fortine premiered at the Paris Opera. Igor Stravinsky, a composer, of course, Frank Zappa's favorite odd, strange composer. 1943, the Smith-Connolly Anti-Strike Act was enacted by the U.S. Congress. Anti-Strike Act. What a load of shit. Anyway, was enacted by the U.S. Congress, giving the presidential power to seize and operate privately owned war plants when a strike or threat of strike interfere with war production. Guess what, Mr. President? If we want to go on strike, you can't make us work. If we go back to work, we're going to be shitty workers. Guarantee it. It's called what's it called? A slowdown. A slowdown. We can do anything we want.
Production, and if we all do it, you can't stop us.
And hiring scabs, it just leads to violence. So once again, you pay your workers that you're overworking and underpaying during the war. Oh, well, we can't slow down the war production. Well, maybe you should pay your workers more. Give them better hours. Something like that. They're going on strike for a reason, not just to be mean to you. Oh, we just want to be mean to that company. We're going to punish them. Well, they're just working at a job that's killing them slowly, and they get no compensation. Understand what workers actually do, morons. They're not just there to take your money. Anyway, in 1947... on this day, Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl was first published, appearing in the Netherlands under the title Het Achterhuis, or The Secret Annex. It became a classic of war literature. 1961, British comedian actor Ricky Gervais was born. He's 64 today. Happy 64 to old Ricky, who seriously don't give a fuck. And 1978, first version of the rainbow flag, which represents the LGBTQ pride, was flown during the San Francisco Gay Freedom Parade. So the first San Francisco
Gay Freedom!
Parade, 1978. Freedom, an interesting concept we are experimenting with as humans. We haven't quite arrived at it yet. 1993, Canadian politician Kim Campbell was sworn in as the country's first woman prime minister. She served for less than 5 months. So yeah, we did that. Time to move on. 2009, American actress Farrah Fawcett, who first gained fame for her iconic pinup poster and later became a superstar with the hit television series, died of cancer at the age of 62. So rest in peace.
I didn't even know she died.
Farrah Fawcett. Yeah, she died of cancer. Well, you know why? You don't know she died?
No, never mind. I know the story. You can tell it though. You can tell it.
Who died the very same day? Michael Jackson died the very same day. In 2009, American singer-dancer Michael Jackson, who was renowned for worldwide king of pop, died at age 50 of lethal combination of sedatism, propofol, and anesthetic. It was
probably went to that Czech dentist.
Meanwhile, and the entire world ignored Farrah Fawcett dying.
Yeah, that's what I was like. Oh, that's remember. They put him in the Oscars and they didn't put Farrah Fawcett in. Farrah Fawcett.
Yeah, Farrah Fawcett made a ton of movies, right? She made a ton of movies. Michael Jackson made exactly one, The Wiz. And at the Academy Awards that year and the People We Lost in last season, they completely ignored Farrah Fawcett in favor of Michael Jackson, who again made one movie.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. I'm still bitter.
That's why I said I remember the rant.
They completely blew off Farrah Fawcett. The Burning Bed, that was a movie that was released in theaters, and she was a star in that, and she was nominated for awards for it. It might have been actually a TV movie, but either way, she was an actress. She wasn't just some, it wasn't just a pretty face. She could act. 2024, China's lunar probe Change 6 returned to Earth, carrying the first samples from the far side of the moon. And we found out that's where the moon maidens live the whole time. All are. Jethro's right. Jethro. 1950s, our featured event. The Korean War began on this day, 1950. Yeah, a lot of shit happening on this day. 1950, North Korea unleashed attacks southward across the 38th parallel, which is still the border. After which, the UN Security Council, minus the Soviet delegate, passed a resolution calling for UN members to assist South Korea. And the TV series MASH was born.
And
our feature biography.
One example of the U.S. technically losing a war because they didn't win. I can tell you that much.
It was the UN, really. It wasn't just the U.S. But yeah, it was a UN. It was the first UN peacekeeping mission. Think of it that way. And they've been keeping the peace.
They kind of succeeded by giving both sides some land, I guess.
Well, they pushed the North Koreans back to the 38th parallel. Then China got involved, and North Korea made absolutely no headway the rest of the war, and they signed a armistice in 1952. The war lasted like 5 years less than the MASH, the TV series, right? It's like, when are we going to end this series? The Korean War lasted 2 years. Anyway, the Antony Gaudí is his birthday. Gaudi. Maybe that's where the word Gaudi comes from. Spanish architect? Probably. Gaudi. Antony Gaudí, born on this day, June 25th, 1852. Died in June also, June 10th, 1926. Born in Ria, Spain, died in Barcelona. Other birthdays today. Louis Mountbatten, first Earl Mountbatten. British statesman, uncle to the Prince. Born in 1900.
The one who got killed in the Irish IRA bombing.
Lord Mountbatten. I believe so.
Yeah, it looks like him.
1903. George Orwell, author of 1984 and Animal Farm, and subject of our mic drop. George Orwell's birthday. He would be 122. He was born in 1903. It's Anthony Bourdain's birthday. Author, American chef, and television personality. I still don't understand why he killed himself. Probably mental
depression.
Hearing voices, but I'm just saying, why did you do that, dude? I'm just like saying, yeah, I get why people commit suicide. Totally get it, but it doesn't solve a problem. It creates a bunch of other ones. And we also cover.
Don't care they're dead. That's exactly the point. Relief from caring.
Well, if he was still around, he would be 69 today. So he missed celebrating his 69th birthday. There was something to look forward to.
Everyone gets a 69 on their 69th birthday. Is that what you're saying here?
I'm not going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. 1982 is the birthday of Rain. Do you know who Rain is?
The Korean star or a different Rain?
You're absolutely right.
Yes,
South Korean singer and actor.
The Korean famous K-pop idol music guy.
Man or woman? It doesn't say here.
It's a man.
I don't know.
It's a boy.
Okay.
Known for his boyish good looks and smooth hip-hop dance moves. A dancing man.
Also, Rain is also R. Kelly's prison nickname. Anyway. So, R. Kelly, famous for urinating on a young lady. So anyway, it's a really bad joke. And there's your, what national day is it? R. Kelly's prison nickname, Rain. I thought it was hilarious. It's National Leon Day. So if your name is Leon, like Leon Musk, your day, Leon.
No, that's not what it's for.
For something
it's for halfway until Christmas.
Oh, okay. I thought
it's
Noel backwards.
Crafting for
Noel backwards.
Start crafting those Christmas decorations so they're ready for the holiday season.
Right. Oh, I was going to break out my Leon Redbone music. I didn't even think about that. It's Noel backwards. Leon Redbone having them distinctive voices. It sounded like he was singing into his mouth. He ain't like this. He's like this into his mouth like that. And that's what he sang. It was very effective. National Catfish Day, the actual fish, not your new friend your new special friend who wants you to come visit and bring lots of cash. Not that guy. National Parchment Day is today. So it looks like it's some kind of food product, not stuff you write on. So I'm confused about that one. I do know what a strawberry parfait day is, and I got lots of strawberries, so I'll just eat them.
Jam those strawberries with some yogurt and some suspicious crunchy stuff.
Yeah.
That's
and
usually
spread it all over your
parfait.
catfish.
Oh, what a catfish.
So those are your days, your mispronunciation, your spins of the wheel, your catfish. Also a song by Bob Dylan about the baseball player Catfish Hunter. So there you go. There's another catfish. A baseball player named Catfish. It might be his day. Catfish Hunter. Great song, man. Never was a hit, but it's a good song about... You like baseball, you love that song Catfish. And you know who Catfish Hunter was. He was the first millionaire pitcher in baseball. Anyway, those are your days. Those are your catfish nonsense, your mispronunciations, all that crap for Wednesday, the Weird Wednesday, June 25th, 2025 on Before Strawberry Parfait.
Delicious.
Parfait.
Okay. It is also here. Let me give you actually fun, which I had open for a while. Now I forgot it now. Okay, since it was Leon Day, which is crafting, I have some crafting puns. Like, I would work all day if I meant carving out some time for creativity. Or, she seemed naughty by nature, always twisting and turning stories. And of course, you always have to worry, never have to worry about crafting when you've got scissors. They always make the cut.
Oh, wow.
All right. It's also, I think it's an international UN. Speaking of the UN, it's day, actually it's not from the UN, it's from the IMO, Day of the Seafarer. The IMO, which it stands for International Maritime Organization, celebrating the seafarer. This is the day to come together and have a harassment-free ship. Right, women and men can go on the sea, so let's stop harassing each other, I guess, and also harass other ships. Share stories of being part of the seafarer movement and being a ship, working for a shipping company and helping the Coast Guard harassment-free work
Don't,
of seafarers. This is big.
yeah, don't harass the women on the ship.
Yeah.
That's what the men are for. Harass the men.
I
I was on a ship. I was on a ship. You get harassed the whole time. It's the Navy. Anyway.
Well, I hear the Navy harasses Marines too because they're
Marines? Yes, for sure. For sure. Yeah,
because you're landies. You're on
very
the land.
unclose
You lander.
Not Marines.
Oh,
Not Marines. Marines are always at sea. You're thinking
No.
of the Army.
just making up insults.
Marines.
I'm making up insults
Oh,
like
okay,
they're, go get killed in the front line, you Marine, or something. I don't know.
No, they called people that stayed on land something else. But they had Navy guys that never went to sea too. They called people that flew in the Navy, they called them Airedales. I know that. After
Okay.
the dog Airedales. Yeah.
I mean, I know they always make jokes that people in the Navy are gay because they're, at sea.
Yeah. The old
Because,
joke.
no women are
of,
over there. So
300
it's only
sailors.
men on the boat.
300 sailors. 300 sailors go to sea and 150 couples come back. Yeah, exactly. Anyway.
This has been Alison here from the Netherlands, Roger from the east coast of the U.S. as we finish up another day of For Coffee and another Wacky and Weird Wednesday. Hope you've enjoyed our stories about the wacky goings on in humanity and on our planet. See you tomorrow for our Thursday 13. We're going to give you a list of 13 things. Roger's going to draw one up. I don't know if it's going to be part 3 of songs to ask questions, but maybe you've come up with something else after that. And
I got them. No,
Okay.
I'll work on a different list. I got.
So make sure you're subscribed to the channel or following on Twitch, and so you're notified when we go live and post a video. And here is our mic drop moment.
But even as we grasp at victory,
2 minutes of hate. Is this quip called?
You know, you only learn hate when you're taught it.
1980. And this is the
1984.
1984, the movie where look at them all. They're programmed.
There's a reason why hate doesn't look pretty, It doesn't look pretty on anyone's face.
Hey.
The reason for it.
Right.
Not pretty. Stupid immigrants! Or what is this? The guy, the opposition?
No-
Stupid opposition!
2 minutes of hate. Nobody knows what they're saying.
I like
It's
how they
just
have
general
symbols, like the
mob
The
hatred.
X symbol for like, we hate you.
It's like if you put
So
a bunch
many
of
people in this
Trump
room,
idiots
too.
in a. You put a bunch of Trump idiots in a room and put a picture of a Hillary up there and watch them lose their mind and shit themselves. You lock
These
the
guys
doors
aren't
too.
in, though. What's the deal with the front row? I've seen the movie, but I forget
Those people
all of
are
the
not-
plot.
The people in front are in charge.
Oh, okay. They're not the zealots.
Right. They're just there to make sure. That guy there, he's like, how come you're not
John
cheering,
Hurt,
buddy?
famous
You're not-"
actor John Hurt. This must be like restored, colorized version. He's good.
Mhm. I haven't seen this since it first came out.
Yeah, it looked
mean,
worse
it's-
when it first
come out
came
on
out. I
cable.
remember that much.
It first came out on cable. I saw it like at HBO or one of them Cinemax maybe. It's like, this movie is depressing as hell. Yeah, it's not exactly the fun movie for to take the kids to.
But I think everyone
But
should
we're
see
living
it.
in it's actual life as we see it now in the United States. Conform or be outcast.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels, Toxic Alley, History of Gravy, and Scratchy Old Records.